In this segment, I'd like to share an analogy relative to emotional intelligence. I've studied emotional intelligence for about 20 years, and I think it's a very fascinating topic. It has the ability to improve the quality of our lives, whether at work or whether at home or any organization. It's particularly important for leaders to have excellent emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to, first of all, understand our emotions, and second of all, to be able to control them. Third, it's the ability to understand the emotions in others and the ability to control the situations so that we get the outcomes that we'd like to have. It all happens in the brain. We're each given one of these wonderful things. And it's an interesting science because what's happening in the brain is that emotional intelligence can be enhanced if we learn how to use the brain differently. So first of all, it's obvious, I think, for those of you who are aware that we have a right and a left side of the brain. The cerebral cortices are separate, actually physically separate. They don't have colors like in my little model here, but they are separate. And the only thing that connects them is a little band of fibers called the corpus callosum. And the corpus callosum is a fascinating area because this is what controls how fast the signals go from the right side of the brain, called the limbic system, to the left side of the brain, where the logic takes place. Now, when we have a stimulus, let's say someone cuts us off in traffic or somebody yells at us over the phone, that stimulus enters our brain through the limbic system on the right-hand side of the brain. And we deal with it emotionally before we get to thinking about what it would be the logical conclusion if we have a reaction to it. And the only way that that signal can get from our limbic system over to the logic side of the brain is through the corpus callosum. It's this little curved thing here, if you can see it. And that is, I like to think of it, it's like a flat band. You might think of it as looking somewhat like a ribbon or a piece of elastic, about maybe 3/4 of an inch wide and about 2.5 inches long. And so the signal has to travel between one side and the other side through this corpus callosum. And I like to think of it as a driveway. Believe that many of us have a lot of snow and clutter in our driveway, and therefore it takes quite a while. It's a lot of work to get the signal from the limbic system to the logic side of the brain, and therefore quite often we flash at other people out of the emotion before we have a chance to think about the consequences on the logical side of the brain. So if we can plow the driveway inside of our head, plow our corpus callosum to plow all the snow out of the way, by studying emotional intelligence, what we get is a very efficient transfer of information from the right-hand side. The right-hand side of the brain is more like a parallel processing computer, where the left-hand side of the brain is more like a serial processor. So they work very differently. To be able to get the signal from our one side to the other side very quickly allows us to be able to react in real time, but still be able to understand the consequences, not just the emotion of making a reaction. And that can prevent us from making some very difficult choices in life.